have what it takes to be awarded as the best in the business? Here is your chance to apply. Head on over to our website, download the form and apply. If you face any troubles when applying or feel the need to get in touch with us directly, email us, call us, tweet at me directly at Sunanda_J or join our Facebook group.
Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, 18-hour special initiative that celebrates the undying entrepreneurial spirit of micro, small and medium enterprises. This is the only daily MSME platform in the country, a show where you can voice your concerns and get answers to all your queries directly from our team of experts. We understand the issues that you, the MSME entrepreneur, face, and the show aims to bring you the most relevant and updated information on everything related to your businesses. On Insight, an interview with Coughnishio, and on Bright Sparks, we are featuring two companies including Good Shepherd and Solzak. On this Education Week special, we continue talking about the disruptive power of technology when it comes to solving some of the challenges that exist in the Indian education market today. Here is one entrepreneur who's doing just that. I spoke with the management of Coughnishio, a company that uses technology in school education. I spoke with the founder earlier. Listen. Can you start by talking to us about the story behind setting up of Coughnishio, where the germ of the idea really came about and the process of setting it up?
Yeah, so I started Coughnishio about 5 years back, and before that I was working in IT. So my entrepreneurial journey basically started when my son started going to school, and I started realizing that things haven't changed much, right? He was being taught in the same way as I was taught. And then I started seeing him struggle in maths, and I realized that what he needed was personalized attention. And when I talked to the teachers and met them, I realized that they have so many students in the class. You really can't expect one teacher to give personalized attention to every child. And this is where I thought technology can really do a good job, and when everything around us is getting personalized, then why not education? So that was the trigger for me to get started and try to see how could I apply my knowledge in technology and bring it back into education.
Okay, so maybe I can ask you to talk to us and our viewers about what, in your opinion, is the biggest challenge that exists right now in the face of, in the space of education, really.
I think we have twofold challenges, right? One is, I think that system is completely designed around testing, right? And the way we test students. So because we are testing students on set patterns, so the whole education system now has evolved around it, right? You have coaching institutes training a student to a particular exam. In the school, the focus is marks. So there's no real focus on learning. That's one key challenge. And I think the second is that not many people are getting into the field of teaching, right? We all want our kids to be taught by good teachers, but then we don't want our kids to be those teachers, right? So the society needs to change and get good people into education, and from a government and a school perspective, we need to equip the teachers who are there to reach better.
Fair enough. In your opinion, how can digital be harnessed even more in the field of education, and how has digital really changed the face of education?
See, if you look at technology, right, both the problems that I mentioned can actually very easily be handled by technology. Like the first problem is the number of good teachers are limited, and you actually can't take them everywhere. So if you could get them together, put their knowledge into a technology system, that could be made available to millions of people around, right? So you actually can handle the problem of good teachers being scarce. And also with technology, personalization becomes very easy, right? So you understand the requirements of each child, and you can personalize the teaching to give what the child really needs. So every child can come up to the level if you can integrate technology with teaching. So I think that's the place where technology is going to be the leader in education.
Avneet, it's an open secret, of course, that primary education in India still has a long way to go if we are to compare it with what's happening internationally. It's also, and I'm particularly talking about public schools in India. In your opinion, why isn't the government perhaps on its part using technology much more, throwing its weight behind the use of technology in primary schools? And do you see the situation as far as technology being used for education in primary schools really changing?
From a government perspective, government can support support organizations, because there's a lot of good work being done by private companies in trying to get the best practices across the world using technology in education. So I think if there is a support from the government for startups like this, then we could really work with the schools and improve the system. But it has to be done in both levels. It has to be done in the government schools as well as the private schools, just because so many kids are now going into private schools, and that's where we have again a large chunk of students. Right. As far as government schools is concerned, I think even a lot of the NGOs working in those in the government schools, they have also adopted technologies to an extent, but it's been more limited on the hardware side. If we give the right resources, we still have a chance, because students can explore, they can access a lot of information. So if technologies like this are brought into government schools, even without really training teachers too much, we could actually see a significant impact.
Let me ask you what your biggest learning has been as an entrepreneur.
For me, particularly in education, I think it's a very different field than a lot of other areas, right? If you take e-commerce, you just are focused on the consumer. But when it comes to education, there are many stakeholders in the game, right? It's your product actually addresses the student, but the parent is the one whose approval or payments you need, and if you go through schools, then teachers and students are using it, you have school management, so there are a lot of different stakeholders. So the education you have to do is across the stakeholders. That's been, so how do you overcome that has been one of my biggest challenges, and that we've tried different ways of using technologies. We've tried using digital technologies, digital marketing, a lot of, we go into a lot of forums and trying to educate people. But still I think that's a challenge, because there are a lot of different stakeholders involved in the education space.
Avneet, I was asking you earlier about, we were talking very briefly about international players, but if there are one or two things that India can learn when it comes to technology and the use of education from our global peers, what can it be?
Yeah, I think if you look at from a global perspective, right, there are a lot of improvements have happened in trying to bring technology into the classrooms and personalizations, right. A lot of experiments being done with different products, and that has helped. Particularly, I can talk about, I visited a lot of schools in the US recently, and I realized that each child is using a set of technologies to just personalize learning. So say if it's a slow learner, right, they're using technologies to ensure that the kids get those specific resources that just this child needs. And if the child is like a gifted child, he can go way beyond his classroom. So that is something that gets the child interested in coming to school. He looks forward, because we are trying to address his genuine needs. So I think that's something that we can adopt in India in a big way.
Avneet, the education space in India is very fragmented, but in your opinion, is this fragmentation a benefit really that MSMEs can tap into, and what specific opportunities would you advise our viewers that exists as far as education goes for MSMEs to look at?
Yeah, you're right. Education segment is really fragmented. So even if you look at the formal education or after school education, there are just too many players out there. So I think from a new company which is trying to get a product, what people should like to do is to go to the student directly, because ultimately whether we go through school or whether we go in as an after school program, the actual user we are trying to address is the student itself. So if the product can be done with early testing for students or designed to be sent to students directly, that's something that scales up much better.
We definitely have to talk about government policy if you're talking about education in India to ensure more long-lasting reforms. Avneet, in your opinion, what are some of the biggest changes we must see from the government's perspective?
Personally, I believe that the CC that the government had put in place a few years back, and CBSE had introduced it. So on the ground level, as an external person, I see a lot of change happening, right. So after those reforms came in, the way of teaching started changing into schools, and I think time is ready for us to look at education far differently from what we have done, because nothing has changed, right, in a long way. We have not come up with an education policy which is for the 21st century. right? We need to include technology, and when the government is talking a lot about technology in other areas, e-governance, I think it's time we have a technology related policy in education and see how we can use it to overcome all the issues we have.
On that note, let's take a quick break. On the other side, we're featuring two companies, Good Shepherd and Solzak. Welcome back. You're with us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, and in Bright Sparks tonight, we're featuring Good Shepherd and Solzak. A school amongst the hills, extracurricular activities and a very holistic approach as far as education is concerned. That's the story of Good Shepherd. Shubhangi Sinha brings you the example of this one institution that's doing something different when it comes to your child's education and the lessons that you, the MSME entrepreneur, can take away. Take a listen.
Aristotle said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Set amidst the beautiful Nilgiris with an emphasis on holistic learning, Good Shepherd International School is a home away from home for 800 students.
When I was growing up as a young boy of 14, 15, I decided I would start a school where a child could get whatever he wanted, whether it was riding or rifle shooting or mountaineering, public speaking or to play guitar, or that's what I'm trying to do here. No child is unhappy.
The school was set up in 1977 by Dr. P.C. Thomas, and like most entrepreneurs, he started small with just 54 students. A strong-willed attempt at making this school formidable has borne fruit, and the school now has two separate campuses for primary and higher education in Ooty.
There was no compromise on any aspect of the school, whether it was a building under construction, whether it was selection of furniture, whether it was smart board in the classrooms, whether it is providing Wi-Fi or the selection of faculty. There was no instance of any compromise. We always wanted the best.
Good Shepherd aims to create global thinking among students, and while many international schools are coming up in India, GSIS believes its strength lies in its infrastructure. Debunking the common myth of boarding schools being a punishment, GSIS successfully builds an inclusive learning environment.
We give a lot of emphasis on a home away from home. The students don't feel that they are in a boarding. They don't feel that they are pushed into or punished by the parents. They feel happier to come here.
The Indian education system faces a huge gap in terms of the availability of skilled teachers, and this challenge has been addressed at the Good Shepherd International Schools through creative HR solutions.
So difficult to get good qualified faculty. I would say more than the qualified, the committed people, because the teaching profession is not on a priority, unfortunately, in our country. So what we do is we give them the best of salary, I should say that, and the best of accommodation, and perhaps not many schools provide free education for their children. So these are all the strategies to attract the best.
With a plethora of options available, students often are at a loss to decide what to pursue as a career option. Realizing this, GSIS also provides extensive career guidance and counseling.
We do a lot of counseling. We have a counseling department, and even I interfere in cases where it is required. In most of the cases, I interfere to counsel the parents, because the father and mother, doctors running a hospital, they come to me with a problem. We want our child to go for medicine. And I would have already spoken to the child would have told me, "Sir, I don't want to go for medicine." So it's a difficult task to convince the parents, let your child become what he or she wants. And finally, the child succeeds.
In a country where the need of the hour is skilling and education, GSIS has built a school that most of us can only dream of.
Fulfilling the potential of children with special needs is neither an art nor a science, but Soul's Arc has made some major strides enhancing the lives of such youth by placing an emphasis on nurturing their natural abilities. Pooja Jain visited their campus herself to discover how Soul's Arc is introducing compassionate and cutting-edge innovation in special education. Take a listen.
Yeah, ma'am.
My name is Sanskar Karamji Dheer. My age is 17 years old. I like Soul's Arc because I have made new friends over there and we come here to study also.
Soul's Arc can be best described as an education cum therapy cum research center for children with special needs.
What is your name?
Aisha,
How old are you?
how are you? 5.
Yeah. Which school do you go to?
So that
Founded in 2003 and structured as a charitable trust, Soul's Arc comprises an interdisciplinary team of experienced professionals led by founder Sonali Saini. We got up close and personal with her to understand her holistic approach to special needs education that caters to the physical, educational, and social development of a child.
You've made it your life's mission to provide equal opportunities to children with special needs. You offer a unique range of services at Soul's Arc, but walk us through the research-based approach that underlies them.
Soul's Arc's vision is to transform special education. And one of the ways in which we do the transformation is through a research-based approach to ensure that every child with special needs, regardless of why he has special needs, is able to avail the services, it's accessible to him, as well as economical for him to be able to afford them.
So children with disabilities have it difficult enough, but then children with disabilities from marginalized communities are served a double whammy of sorts. How do you cater to them?
Children with special needs from the marginalized communities have it tough because of various reasons. Lack of awareness, lack of assessments, diagnosis, a lack of services. So one of the ways in which the standardization through research is going to help is to ensure that every child avails the service, whether he's in a rural area, whether he's in a small town, or whether he's in a city, to ensure that everyone receives the help that they require at that point of time, so that they have hope for their future and they can learn no matter what.
Now, beyond the educational development of a child, how do you help integrate them into mainstream society as working, well-adjusted adults?
Absolutely. Special education cannot be standardized without looking at it from a lifespan approach. Employment, vocational skills is another area of standardization that we've moved into by doing industry mapping and making sure that we're able to sensitize the corporates and sensitize the sectors to be able to include adults with disabilities and special needs within the population.
You founded Soul's Arc in 2003 with just 15 students with disabilities. You've now touched the lives of over 25,000. What do you attribute this growth to?
One of the main reasons for our growth is a change of model that we've undertaken, especially this year, and that is through partnerships. We partner with educational organizations, with the governments, with various other individuals who work for integrating and including children and adults with special needs. That has helped us improve and scale our approach and make sure, again, that everyone receives the services that they require.
And for our viewers watching that want to get more involved, whether it's sponsoring a child or volunteering their time, how do they take the first step?
There's a lot everyone can do. I think the bigger and more the number of people are involved in this, the larger the movement would be, and that's what our aspiration is. Individuals can help sponsor children who are not able to afford services. Corporates can open their doors and seek support from organizations like us to make sure that individuals with disabilities are included as a part of their employable population. And I think people in general need to change their mindset and their understanding to make sure and understand that special needs are just an extension of who they are. The most rewarding part is when all our children, we see our children progressing, and when they come and say I love you, and when they come and smile with the innocence that they do.
Research indicates that of the approximately 70 million people with disabilities in India, fewer than 0.1 million are gainfully employed. But with its therapy centers and parallel schools sprinkled across Mumbai and Pune, Soul's Arc is transforming the lives of every youth under its wing. By providing an environment rich on customized individual attention and care, Soul's Arc has become a brand that exudes a calm hope and confidence when it comes to helping children with special needs become the absolute best they can be.
Completely out of time then on this episode of The Leaders of Tomorrow, and we've been bringing you a series of stories in the education space. Do remember, if you have a company that wants to be featured on our show, you can write into us at leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com. You can tweet at me personally. My Twitter handle is Sunanda_J. You can reach us on social media using the hashtag LOT, or call us on that number you see on your screen. We promise to have all your queries answered. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.
If you feel you have what it takes to be awarded as the best in the business, here is your chance to apply. Head on over to our website, download the form and apply. If you face any troubles when applying or feel the need to get in touch with us directly, email us, call us, tweet at me directly at Sunanda_J, or join our Facebook group.